So, Cal, you got your medal.
Yes.
You got your medal.
Yes.
Here it is.
Finally. Yes. 10 years late, but I think it's always better late than never. And it would have been nice to stand on the podium in Beijing, but you stood on the podium in London 25 Stadium with a national anthem, which we would never have got in Beijing.
Yeah.
So there's pluses. And I think it was quite a lot. It was more emotional for everyone, especially Marilyn and Nicola, who'd never been on the Olympic podium. So, I've still got another one to come. So when that one comes, obviously, we'll do another interview.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get the third, and that's still in the process, isn't it?
It's mine. It's whether it's when it's coming, if it comes. So there's lots of bureaucracy and barriers that have to overcome. The BOA and the IOC have to overcome for it to be mine.
Yeah. So, so how was it in terms of actually sort of standing on the podium and feeling that quite conflicting sense of, all right, we didn't win on the day, but we've won today?
You get mixed emotions. So when I retired in 2012, I was quite bitter. I've been quite bitter about my successes. And I think it's because I put so much hard work into going into 08, and I truly was one of the favourites to win the HEP, and I didn't. And come away with a fourth and a fifth I was just heartbroken. But I know I'd been injured to get there. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for the physio, yourself and Aston and Aaron, my coaches who got me there in one piece, really, I did really well considering, but, my expectation was more. So, but to be vindicated now. So, it was, I didn't really think about the last 10 years. I only thought about that moment and probably pretended I was back in 2008.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, so for me, so we started working with each other early 2007. So kind of describe the what led up to that point, because you had one coach up towards Athens, and then you had like a whole range of coaches. So describe how you're approaching from the post Athens period up to Beijing in terms of the inputs that you were getting.
Yeah, so after my coach from 2004 left, he went back to Holland, Charles Van Comrie, we had to then enlist another coach, and it happened to be Aston Moore, who had no idea about heptathlon. So at that point then, we had to who can help Aston learn about heptathlon? So I would help him a little bit, and then we got individual coaches, so we got shot put, javelin, high jump, hurdles, speed, and then we kind of just used the running that we'd done in the previous year for the following year, and somewhat that worked. And then 2005 was okay. I scored my heptathlon PB in that year. Ran really well in the 8. PB'd in most events. But what happened is we kind of continued that same program for the following year. And then you could see things now started to not get worse, but I was still stuck like a record. So I was, what's the word? You plateau. And I think, okay, well, I know I'm better than this. So what can I do to get better? And we hum and hawed about it for like 6 or 8 months through 2006. Because I had an injury in my back, so we couldn't really do much. And it was after the European Indoors in 2007, and I nearly beat Carolina Clufton and broke the world record. We realised that something has to change. If there's anything going to change, we've got to do it now before 08. So that's when we obviously spoke to our doctor, who was Bruce Hamilton. He said, speak to Steve Ingham, and I think you'd been already working with Jessica. And so we then enlisted your help. And then we was like, what can you do to help us? This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. But we were just copying a program, so it was just on repeat from before, and it just needed refreshing. And I had skills, but I weren't utilising the skills that I had. So I was a great runner, but I could be a better runner.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And what was kind of going through your head? Because I wasn't a coach. Although I coached you. What was kind of going through your head?
But we didn't see you as a coach. We saw you as a physiologist about to dissect our training program and make it better. So we didn't necessarily see you as a coach.
Yeah, okay.
We probably saw you as more as a consultant, an expert in an area that you knew lots about, but you didn't really know lots about heptathlon.
No, it was a massive leap of faith in that sense.
And unfortunately for you, probably learning with probably two of the best, with Jess and myself, you're going to learn a huge lot that would then go forward and help you further. So. And I suppose the stuff that you learned from either of us probably would have helped both each other. Well, Jess, what you learned from Jess would have helped me. What you learned from me probably helped Jess.
Yeah, but a bit. It's a bit like me, Emerson, at the moment. It's a completely different physiology from you. So it's not necessarily about adapting what learned from
exactly.
Sotherton, Ennis to Neve. It's about actually finding out what makes them tick.
Yeah. So it was more individual program instead of a generic one. So Yeah, so having your input, yeah, we saw you as a specialist. Aston was a coach.
Yeah.
And you were the specialist. So, but you talked to each other on a level. There wasn't anybody higher than anybody else, and nobody saw you as just, oh, you're just someone. You were actually an expert in this field who could enhance what Aston delivered to my training.
Yeah. I remember going off to Portugal with you and almost on a bit of a fact-finding mission, and finding a couple of things. I thought, actually, I think I could probably help based on the 200s. Probably weren't quick enough.
Yeah.
The fartlek wasn't quick enough to hit the 800, but it wasn't really hitting your physiological systems, the pacing and so on. I thought, actually, there's a couple of areas that could potentially improve. But so, I mean, we obviously started working with each other 2007, and it's always fortunate enough that the results start coming.
Yeah.
We started to get some new personal bests. Went into the 2007 Worlds. You got a bronze medal. I suppose that at that point links to today in some ways, because you got your bronze medal. You went over to the BBC and you thanked the people, but you were pretty vocal about a certain character who'd finished ahead of you.
Yeah, Ludmila Blonska, who subsequently the following year at the Olympics got banned and got a life ban. But yeah, I do remember winning that medal because I just beat Jess. And, but we took a massive gamble in 2007 because we chose to work with someone completely new in April. And to change something that you've always been doing in the middle of a season and just a few months out from a world champs, a gamble.
Yeah.
But we thought we've got nothing to lose here, everything to gain. And actually our eyes are on 08, not 07. And if we manage to get to 07 world champs and win a medal, then, well done, we've done really well. So it happened that we made that gamble. We sacrificed the heptathlon, got sits. We didn't do particularly well there. Sacrificed another heptathlon Europa Cup, which Jess did really well, excelled and beat me first time she'd ever beaten me in the hep. So that was a bit hard to take, but I knew that we had a plan, and I could see things were within 6 or 7 weeks. You could see things are happening and changing. So I just believed in it. So 07 was like, because I didn't run a PB in the 8, but I felt better.
Yep.
But I ran a really good 2, and my speed, flat speed was good. And I remember you and Graham Knight had worked really hard to get me running under 3 seconds for the first, was it 20 or 10 or something, whatever. And we'd worked really hard with the speed gates. I remember doing it multiple times.
Just came right at the last session, didn't it? Before you went off to Osaka.
Yeah, it did. But I believed in something's working, something different. So when it went into that winter, going into 08, I had total belief. And that's when I suppose it then became, well, Steve's not also an expert consultant, he's part of the coaching team. So that's when it started to transpire that you were then becoming part of the coaching team.
But tell me a bit about, you let off at the 2007 about competing against people about your doping. There weren't many people speaking out at that point.
I think it was Paula and Hayley Tullett had done a sign back in 2001 at the World Champs in Edmonton.
EPO cheats out, wasn't it?
That was, I think you was always chastised to be speaking out. Oh, you're bitter, you're a loser, you came third.
But everyone knew there was stuff going on.
Yeah, they did. And it was just about timing. And but unfortunately, she never got retested from 07. All it did, there was nothing there, they couldn't find anything. So that would have really vindicated my comments at that time. But it just went to show what I was saying was actually the truth, because she went to the Olympics, got a silver medal, and then 3 days later that was taken off her because she failed the test. So yes, not many people like to speak up about doping because it's about image, and even now people don't truly like to speak up about doping because it's their image is being tarnished as like a sore loser. But this is a real problem, and the more people that speak about it, is better because it recognises there is an issue. You don't have to be all negative about it. It's just the way it is articulated.
Yeah. So how did you feel when you were competing against them? When you were sort of literally about to start the competition, whether it's the moments before or during, are you able to focus down on your own performances, or is it still just nagging in the back of your mind?
In going into the 08 Olympics, when she was there, I knew that she affected me from the start because I had one half of me was thinking about her and actually Tatiana Genova. I knew they weren't clean. I knew it just by what they were doing. And everyone else did. And there was little instances through the year for World Indoors where her husband coach had thrown something to her in the middle of a long jump. I don't remember you were.
I remember seeing it.
It was a very heavy tissue. It didn't float down. It just flew. Just things like that. And then in the long jump there were some substances in the long jump, and I took those bottles, gave them to my team manager. you need to give these IOC. This is what I found, and this is the person who are using.
Yeah.
So
So that you were witnessing stuff
I was witnessing
going
in front
on.
of, we all were, but I was the one prepared to go, and I actually probably risked my opportunity of winning a medal outrightly on that day by focusing on her.
Right.
I know both of those girls had an outright effect on my performance, and even though you shouldn't allow that to affect you, it did. My long jump was awful. I jumped 6.79 a couple of weeks ago. I was nearly half a metre down.
Yeah.
And if I had a decent normal long jump, I probably would have outrightly won a silver, which means I might have done a better jab, which means I probably would have won the 800. I probably could have done. So just don't think I overran as quick as I should have. But then I never got another opportunity to do it again because of my injuries. But that had an effect. That heptathlon, if it had a different outcome and I'd medalled at the time, that affected what I did going forward. So I decided to train harder. So everything has an outcome from just that. From those sorts of those dopers, drug treats in my event, they had an outcome. They affected my outcome.
The headline is often, that athlete's been retrospectively awarded the medal. They've missed their opportunity at the podium, which people feel sorry for, but they also think actually there's loss of earnings, there's a loss of that sort of status as Olympic medalist coming back immediately. That's worth recognising, and that's completely valid. But what you're talking about here is within the actual competition, dealing and thinking about and getting your thoughts dominated by a doper.
Yeah.
And subsequently after that.
Yeah, I don't think people realise you kind of know who. I think you have athletes have an idea who's doing it. You recognise the signs, you see the signs, you see the performances through the year and how they improve and what they do. And nowadays, I'd probably advise athletes just to not think about it, because it can affect your performance. But sometimes, if you're so passionate about something, you can't not think about it. And I suppose, rightly or wrongly, I did, and it affected my performance. But it is what it is, and I have to be a bit nonchalant with it, really, because otherwise it would just eat me up. I'll be bitter. But I just hope it doesn't affect people as I did say today, actually, in 10 years' time, I hope we don't see these retrospective medal ceremonies. We're going to, probably, but hopefully not as many, because you're never going to eradicate someone wanting to cheat or be better. So you're never going to do it. It doesn't matter what tests, what you do, you're never going to eradicate it. You don't it's like life, in life, you don't stop people murdering people and they know they could be executed in the States. They still kill people. That's not a deterrent. So you'll always, it's just in people's genetics to cheat. Yeah.
I mean, I've thought about this quite a lot, not least because just thinking about how you're coping with it and as having a part of your support team, I feel those disappointments, but also the elation of you now getting that moment. I think people will remember you and Chrissy and Maz and Nicola, and previously the men's 4x4 and Goldie and others that have gone through this. You've been atoned and you've sort of had that redemption moment, but history won't forget that. You kind of suffered as a consequence, and I hope that the doping authorities genuinely look at that, and that's just too awkward for us not to be preventative.
Yeah. I do have to remember that there's plenty of athletes who haven't got their rightful medals and will never get them, and so I was thinking about that before. Like, there's plenty of medals that have gone in the past, even in this century, that they don't belong to the right people because they've not been caught for doping, or that restriction of 10 years time has gone past. So I feel for those people because they're never going to get this moment.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Because that retrospective medal given is quite relatively new. So really, so I do think about those people who rightly should be medalists.
Yeah.
Who will never be medalists. And the Goldie thing, she found out before us in 2008, but still has no idea what is happening. So she's still going through turmoil. Is she a bronze medalist or is she not? So that's still going through Court of Arbitration of Sport. So that's going on a long time for her. So at least within the last 2 years, we've had a result and vindicated by getting the ceremony.
Yeah. So 400.
Yeah.
We kind of tripped over the 400, didn't we? In that sense of, you had the 3-event challenge that you did in
Indoors.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Did you choose to do a 400? Or
Well,
was
you
it...
chose.
No, as in we chose the event.
You
to actually
chose
do...
the event.
Did I?
Not we.
Oh.
You said do a 4. I said, oh, what should we do?
Oh, you had, because you were shaping it. You
We
could
could do what we
decide.
wanted. So the free event challenge. It's long jump, 400 hurdles and 400 indoors.
That's what I felt, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Sorry
Why
about
not do
that.
a 4? Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think we had a purpose of training for the 300, didn't we? So this
Yeah.
is what I do. Base my training on. Heptathlete should be a quick 300-meter runner because it hits speed and endurance. So
Yeah.
and I like that theory, and I think it's because it's not an event in the Hep, but this is what we're training for.
Yeah.
And we did that, and it actually had positive repercussions. And I think though, if I wasn't a heptathlete, I would have been a 4x4 hurdler because I had the ability. I think I had that ability to run that distance. It probably was
Yeah.
my distance. So maybe if I'd have chosen 4 hurdles or 400 years before, maybe
Yeah.
I'd been a world-class 400-meter runner. Well, I can say I'm a world-class 400-meter runner
You
because
were
I'm an
Olympic
Olympic
medalist.
But yeah, but I think it would have been too boring. But the hurdle, yeah, I think I always had that in me. It was just unlocking that talent.
It was a difficult balance, though, wasn't it? You came off the indoors 52,
49.
49. So you were the top Briton at the time, weren't you?
8th in the world. And there were 7 Russians in front of me. Or something like that.
I didn't know that.
Or 8 Russians. Yeah, I was basically if I'd have gone to the world champs, I think at the time I was 11, so there was 8 Russians in front of me. So I think I was 2 or 3 go in the world if you took all the Russians out. So
Which you probably could have done.
yeah. So I could have. Yeah. So I had to qualifying for that world indoors in the 400. But we
Yeah.
obviously chose a pentathlon, and I think that probably me running that, and we ran it in a different way, sensibly. 25 seconds for the first lap, came back in
Yeah.
27 and a half. It was really comfortable. Oh, we can learn a lot from that. So what we're doing is right. We're hitting the
Yeah.
right notes. And I think that might have probably got you more excited than me because I thought, it means I've got to do 400s and they're not the nicest events.
But I remember it was quite a difficult balance because we were almost sort of looking across and thinking, oh, the 4's going quite well. Could it be? And then I remember you went to, was it a European Cup? And you did a 4x4.
Yeah, I went to European Cup. They put me on the last leg to test me out to see
Yeah.
whether I could compete. And
Did you travel? Did you just travel for the 4x4 that
yeah,
time?
I
You did,
just
didn't
traveled
you?
and I was then a reserve for the team. So if anything would have happened, I would have been doing long jump shot or whatever hurdles. But yeah, I was part of the 4x4. They put me on last leg. John Cho put me on last leg, and he said, "I just want to see what you do because we can mess up here. It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
And I think I got the baton in second, but I came 4th. I think it was 4th, but around 51 seconds.
Yeah.
And when the splits came, they're like, "Whoa, okay, you're going to be in our 4x4 team in the Olympics."
Yeah.
So that then, you can run on a rolling start with a baton in your hand with other people around you. So that just made everyone sit up and notice.
I remember the balance, just thinking we can't just skew the training towards 400. We've got to train for heptathlon, and ultimately you turned up in Macau, the holding camp, and then Beijing, in tune to be a hep performer. Your 2 was good, your 8 was good. And it just happened to click with the 4.
Well, we did a time trial, didn't we, in Macau, and we ran, and everybody had their stopwatches on.
They did, didn't they? Everyone was watching.
Yeah. And it was, I remember it was 36, I think. It was 36-1. But my first 2 was 23 flat, I remember, because I think I went over 10 metres per second, didn't I?
That's right.
Like that, so I know
the
this.
GPS on it. You remember all the stats better than I do.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Because I kind of use those things when I set my trainer, thinking, okay, this is what this means. So when I set training, blah, blah. So I kind of use to helps my philosophy, how I set my training for my athletes. So yeah, I always remember that. And I think if I hadn't have done that, and Tony Leslie was the team coach for 4x4 hadn't seen that, and everyone else, I would never have gotten that 4x4 team. When I then did PBs in my hurdles, my 200 and 800 in Beijing in the Hep, he thought, she's in shape. How can I not put her in?
Yeah.
So, and then I proved him right. So I think my splits were the 8th fastest of all time. And,
50
point, I think I remember 50.5 in the heat, 50.3 in the final. And back to back, 5 days after a Hep. So, yeah, what could have been? Could have run quicker if I had no heptathlon. But the point is, we still kept to the other. We have to remember what else I was doing in heptathlon helped towards what we were training for. So it was like that was a big part, but everything else helped that because I was still getting speed from long jump, hurdles, high jumps. So
plyometric, strength work for your shot.
Yeah. Everything had a small part to play in my running. So and 400 for me was just a different event. It was a release. It was something I didn't normally do, and I used to find that in the long jump. But it's just another event completely away from heptathlon, that I could go and have fun with.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a fun element. Well, it wasn't fun at the end.
No one's ever said 400-metre running's fun.
No, you do. You think it's fun and you want to run, but you don't like the last bit at the end. Yeah, it's not nice, but it's enjoyable when you come away with a result.
So there's a lesson there in terms of what actually goes into a 400-metre training. It doesn't necessarily have to be dedicated at 400. It's about building the building blocks around aerobic, anaerobic, speed, power, fitness that ultimately adds up.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing. So I think maybe if I'd gone away and been a 400-metre runner, which I did when I was coming back from injury, it might, and it was all about 400, it didn't work in the same way because I think I was missing other elements of the HEP. And it's like if someone said to me, go and be a long jumper, the heptathlon helped me to be a better long jumper.
Yeah.
So it's utilising all the other events that made me the athlete I was. And so if I'd just been one of the other events, it wouldn't have come out the same, I don't think.
Yeah.
So we had a perfect mix of ingredients that mixed really well. And what was really unfortunate, I think, is me getting injured after 08, I'm not being able to capitalise on the work. Because I think I think 09 would have been the year that I might have just gone boom.
Yeah.
I truly believe that would have been it. Me and Jess would have had a great year, and I actually believe I probably could have won the world champs then. But then I think that might have been my pinnacle. I'd been 32 coming 33, but then I still would have believed 2012 was a possibility of winning a medal, not necessarily winning.
Of course, yeah.
Because I do realise Jess was on the up, and I was just below that. I was probably would have been coming down the other side, but it would have been more. Yeah, I would have had another 4 years. It's just a shame. So we don't know what we could have achieved.
Yeah. I suppose there's always going to be that element of, could I have done a bit more? You know, even if you've won right at the top level, there's always going to be a bit of, could I go for a bit longer?
Yeah. Because the disappointment from my weight made me train harder, which is probably why I might have had the injury I got with my foot. Obviously, you got the blame for that.
Just now?
Yeah, no, you got the blame apparently, because I ran too much. But what people didn't realise, I didn't run too much because I did training offloaded by bike and crawl and did a lot of that. So
yeah, we tried everything, didn't we? We did loads of hypoxic stuff and sent you to altitude and putting you in an altitude.
And that all had except in an altitude 10, going in 07 and 08. So yeah, but all that had a little, even if it was 0.5%, it all had an impact.
So you're using that now to help other athletes. That sort of journey of discovery and thinking differently about how you could train.
Yeah.
But you're applying that to other athletes now.
Yeah, and actually a lot of when I've gone to speed conferences, when I like the long tempo grass runs, keep off the track, and when you're fit enough and ready and your heart's ready to go, alongside short speed work, then we start bringing it on the track. So I like people to have a big set of lungs, so they can cope with the amount of pressure. And then when you get on the track for the first time, it's a shock because lactic, oh Christ, it's gonna hit you hard. But I do like that philosophy, and it's not going to always suit everybody. I know that, and we adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that you have another element of training, like you have the pull work, aqua jogging, and the bike. I love bike sessions. I love giving bike sessions to people. I love giving aqua jog. I know what you need to do. I know how to do it. I don't have access to the hypoxic stuff, or the altitude stuff, but the elements of training that I did as an athlete, I try to utilise in the training I give and advice, and because I know that there is an element of that working.
So HEP medal still to come?
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Do you know when? Or have you got any ideas?
The BOA are working hard. Every month they go to the IOC. When this is happening, don't know. So they're working really hard behind the scenes to make it happen.
How are you thinking about that at the moment? How are you keeping that in your mind? How are you framing it?
I think this will appease it. This medal will appease that for a little while, but then I can't wait another 10 years to put that tracksuit on. So sit with it. Well, I think I've done well for it to fit now. So,
got the old Beijing tracksuit out for today.
Proper retro. I think it softens a blow for a little bit, but the heptathlon medal, obviously, this is great, but that heptathlon bronze has more meaning because that was my event. So that I'll probably be more emotional. I'll be by myself. I'll get to hear all this again, hopefully in the stadium. Yeah. Olympic stadium of my choice, hopefully. I don't know when that'll be, but when that happens, obviously it'll be another spotlight on me, and I'll obviously love it. Not shy, but yeah. So
just rewards, 3-time Olympic medalist there aren't many people that can say that.
Well, I think at the time I would have been the 5th most successful athlete. And, lots of people have won double, 2012 and 2016 with all the cyclists, everyone's, they've won 4 medals. That's brilliant. I haven't won a gold, but 3 bronzes. I mean, basically every Olympics I've been to, every event I've done, I've won a medal.
Yeah.
So can't really say a lot. So so I would have been 5th most successful woman at the time, and I would have been before Christine won her. She's won 4 now. So yeah.
Well, it's good to hear about how you're framing it in a positive light, but also recognising that it is still almost like an injustice that we can't kind of just forget and skirt over. And
well, my sport would have lost out on funding for not winning medals. My PD got sacked.
Dave Collins lost his job.
He did lose his job. My Nike contract that I had would have been diminished. I would have not got bonuses. The lead up to Home Olympics, I would have been 3-time Olympic medalist. The financial repercussions that would have been quite massive. Probably at least $500,000 of sponsorship deals going into 2012. I wouldn't have been a poster girl, but I would have been safe bet maybe for other for other sponsors. So I lost a great deal going into that, but I don't necessarily focus on that because that will make me angry. I just think about, okay, how can we not allow this to happen too often again to other people? I just can't focus on that.
And I know you're definitely not a passenger in your sport. You don't just sort of compete and then you're just off doing other stuff. Your sport means a lot to you. You're passionate about it. You give up your time to coach, be team leader. You've almost drove at the Athlete Commission.
I founded the Athlete Commission because I feel it's really important. We didn't have it and it needed to be done. And I feel like too many people have too much to say but don't offer any solutions. There's so many people moan about our sport, and that's great. There's lots of things to moan about. What are you doing about it? Put in a suggestion, have a solution. It might not be the right solution, but let's have a go. Yeah. So I'm very proactive about that. Go off and do something about it. Don't wait for something to happen, make it happen. And I think that's what I've been like as an athlete. What we did when we come to you, we needed something to happen. We could have sat back and just been content with 5th and 6th. No, we want to win medals, so we're going to try something different and may find a solution. And that's how I am. I cannot sit back and moan and not attempt to make something better. So I think my philosophy is, if you've got something to moan about, go and make it happen. Do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's I know that you've been a victim of a corrupt system around the world somewhere, whether it's Russia or Belarus and all these guys, but you're making it better from a situation that hasn't been great, and continuing to do that in other aspects of the sport. So.
Yeah, and empowering other people to make those decisions too. I think it's ensuring that the legacy is in giving the people the opportunities and voice to go and make their decisions and make good decisions. I think that's really important. We didn't have anybody around my time to have those people. They didn't have those people to help us voice those opinions in the right way or articulate them right. That's why I've probably got the people. I've got that kind of. Kelly's got an opinion. She's always got too much to say because nobody helped me articulate it in the right way. But now I'm helping people to ensure they have the right vehicle to take their thoughts and do something with them.
Yeah. Well, good to catch up with you, Kelly, and congratulations today.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Because literally, because this wouldn't have happened without Steve. So with all the injuries we had going into Beijing, I think it was 17 weeks of injuries, which is like 4 months. Literally, I wouldn't have got there without you. So thanks.
Oh no, it's been fun, and I can't wait for you to get that heptathlon medal as well. So and finally cap it all off.
Yeah, part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Cheers, Cal.
Cheers. Thanks.